What if the very thoughts that feel heavy, chaotic, or out of your control were not proof that something is broken within you, but a doorway to a greater truth about who you are becoming? What if the racing mind, the doubts, the moments when you catch yourself spiraling into old fears, were not signs that you're stuck, but signals that you are brushing against the edges of a new frequency that is already calling you forward? Pause with that question. Let it ripple through you like sound traveling through an infinite chamber. Because here is the paradox most people never see. The mind, with all its stories and storms, is not your prison. It is the drumbeat that announces an unseen transformation. The anxiety you sometimes feel, the strange dissonance between what you've been and what you're becoming that is not collapse. That is vibration. That is frequency. That is your next level pressing against the walls of your old self, asking to be born. Close your eyes for just a moment and imagine this. What if you are not simply the thinker of your thoughts, but the vast field into which those thoughts land? What if every moment of mental chatter is a particle searching for a frequency, and you are the frequency it collapses into? When you understand this, everything shifts. Suddenly, the question is no longer, why am I thinking this? But what frequency am I allowing this thought to crystallize into? You become less of a prisoner and more of a quantum sculptor, shaping reality not by suppressing thoughts, but by recognizing yourself as the current that gives them form. Feel into this. The moments when your inner world feels unstable, when the ground beneath your identity feels like it's dissolving, these are not failures. They are threshold states, initiation states, the sacred in-between where old patterns dissolve, and the field of infinite possibility whispers, choose again, choose differently, choose as the frequency you are becoming. What if the breakdowns are not breakdowns at all, but sacred tremors of the quantum field collapsing into alignment with your next becoming? Breathe. Imagine those thoughts swirling like dust motes in a shaft of light. They do not define you. They are not you. You are the light into which they fall. You are the chamber that holds them, the field that receives them, the frequency that decides which ones crystallize into reality and which dissolve back into silence. So tonight, or tomorrow, or whenever you next catch yourself in a storm of thought, I want you to remember this. You are not unraveling. You are unfolding. You are not lost in the noise of your mind. You are hearing the hum of your next frequency calling you closer. And that, my friend, is where our journey begins. You've felt it before, haven't you? That space where nothing seems to make sense anymore. Where the dreams you once held close don't quite fit, yet the new ones haven't fully revealed themselves. Where the old identity feels too small, but the new one feels too far away to touch. This is not confusion. This is not failure. This is not regression. This is the in-between. Some call it the void. Others call it the dark night of the soul. But here, I want to give it a new name for you to carry inside your heart. The quantum threshold. Why? Because a threshold is not an ending. A threshold is the sacred moment just before entry. It is the pause at the doorway, the inhale before the exhale, the silent hum before the symphony begins. When you are in the quantum threshold, your old energetic architecture is dissolving, and your next blueprint is assembling itself within the unseen. You are not being emptied, you are being retuned. I want you to imagine this threshold as a liminal space, like standing between two mirrors that face each other endlessly. Behind you, the reflections of who you've been. Ahead of you, the infinite reflections of who you can become. And in the middle, right where you stand now, the silence that holds the power to decide which reflection solidifies into form. This is not a mistake. This is initiation. You see, the quantum threshold is not something to escape from. It is a sacred passage you are invited to walk through. And the discomfort you feel here, the strange disorientation, the loss of certainty, even the occasional grief, these are not punishments. They are symptoms of your energy recalibrating to hold a frequency you've never lived before. Think of a violin string being tuned. When the peg is tightened, the string stretches. For a moment, the sound wavers too sharp, too flat, unstable. It feels off. And yet that instability is not error. It is the necessary tension that precedes perfect resonance. Your life is doing the same. You are being stretched. You are being tuned. And in this in-between state, it may sound messy, uncertain, even chaotic. But underneath it all, the vibration is aligning. So when you feel lost, name it. Call it what it island. I am in the quantum threshold. Speak it gently, as a reminder to yourself, because naming transforms the experience. Without a name, we interpret discomfort as danger. With a name, we reclaim it as sacred. Right now, you are between the inhale and the exhale of your own evolution. And that is not a void, it is an expectant silence, heavy with creation. Close your eyes and breathe with me for a moment. Imagine you are standing at the threshold of a doorway. Behind you, the patterns, beliefs, identities you've outgrown. Ahead of you, infinite possibilities, shimmering like stars in the quantum field. And right here, where you are, is the in-between, the still point, the zero space, the quantum threshold. Can you feel the power of naming it? Suddenly the unease is not random, it is purposeful. Suddenly the uncertainty is not chaos, it is recalibration. You are not broken. You are not failing. You are standing exactly where transformation happens between what was and what will be. And here's the truth very few ever realize. Most people turn back at the threshold. They mistake discomfort for a sign they should retreat. But you are listening now. You are learning to recognize this space for what it really is. The sacred pause where the universe whispers, choose again. So the next time you feel like you've lost the map, I invite you to place your hand on your heart and remind yourself, this is not an ending. This is my quantum threshold. It's not something to fear. It's something to honor, because it means you're standing in the exact spot where your next self is gathering the energy to be born. And that is where your journey continues. Let's deepen this together. If the space you're in is the quantum threshold, then what is really happening here beneath the surface? To answer that, we turn to one of the most fascinating mysteries of quantum physics, superposition. Superposition is the state in which a particle exists in multiple possibilities at once. Before it is observed, it is not just here or there. It is both. It is not just this outcome or that outcome, it is all outcomes, suspended in potential, waiting for collapse. And doesn't that sound eerily familiar to what you feel right now? In this in-between space, your identity is in superposition. You are no longer fully anchored in who you once were, but you are not yet crystallized into who you are becoming. You are existing in multiple energetic potentials at once. One moment you feel like the old self, another moment like the future self, and in between, like a shifting spectrum of both. It feels unstable because it is unstable. But unstable does not mean unsafe. It means alive with possibility. Imagine standing inside a great cathedral of mirrors, each one reflecting a version of you. Some are echoes of the past. Some are glimpses of futures not yet chosen. And you, right now, are the still point in the center, surrounded by infinite potentials shimmering in superposition. This is why you sometimes feel contradictory impulses, one moment filled with vision, the next pulled into doubt. One moment inspired, the next tired. It is not because you are lost. It is because you are flickering between potential selves, tasting them, feeling them, allowing your frequency to decide which one will solidify. And here is where the metaphor becomes powerful. Superposition collapses when observed. When attention enters, when focus is given, one possibility crystallizes into reality, and the others dissolve. The same is true for you. Your thoughts are not just private whispers in your mind. They are the lens of observation that collapses infinite potential into lived experience. Every belief, every focus, every assumption, these are not just mental habits. They are collapse points, selecting from the infinite what will become your now. So what does this mean for you in the quantum threshold? It means the discomfort, the uncertainty, the mental noise you sometimes resist. These are not random. They are the trembling of potentials waiting for your conscious observation. Every doubt is an unchosen mirror. Every hope is another. And your awareness is the sacred observer that decides which one becomes your embodied self. Pause and breathe into this. Can you feel the power in your awareness? You are not at the mercy of random thoughts. You are the frequency that thoughts collapse into. You are the chooser behind the curtain of reality. Let me give you a simple image. Think of a radio dial. Right now, as you hold it in your hand, there are countless stations broadcasting in the invisible field around you. Music, voices, static, all of it exists in potential. But until you turn the dial, you don't hear any of it. The dial collapses infinite invisible possibilities into one audible reality. That dial is your awareness. When your mind spins with options, identities, doubts, and desires, you are simply sensing the quantum static of superposition. The question is not, why do I feel this way? But, which frequency will I tune my awareness to? Because the moment you choose, the moment you observe with clarity, collapse happens. And collapse is creation. So if you find yourself flickering between the old self and the new, between past fears and future visions, remember, this is not weakness. This is quantum. This is the very nature of transformation, flickering between potentials until observation crystallizes one into form. Superposition is not confusion. It is the luxury of infinite possibility. So let me reframe it for you right now. Every doubt you feel is simply another unchosen outcome. Every flicker of vision is a glimpse of what's available. Every moment of instability is proof that you are vibrating between worlds. And that means you are not stuck, you are powerful. You are standing in superposition, and your awareness is the sacred key that decides which reality collapses into being. So the next time you feel pulled between the old and the new, place your hand over your heart and whisper, I am in superposition, and with my awareness, I choose. This is the quantum metaphor for your transformation. This is the beauty of the threshold. You are not unraveling, you are flickering into possibility. And from here, everything begins to shift. Let's pause here, because something very important needs to be said. The discomfort you feel right now, the restless nights, the scattered thoughts, the strange sense of being stretched beyond what feels comfortable, is not a sign that you're failing. It's not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that something is working. Discomfort is the echo of growth reverberating through your system. It is the trembling of your frequency as it releases the weight of the old and reaches for the resonance of the new. Say that to yourself right now. This discomfort is proof that I am growing. Because you see, growth never arrives in silence. It hums, it rattles, it shakes you awake. Imagine a seed in the dark soil. From the outside, it might look as though nothing is happening. But inside, that tiny seed is breaking apart, splitting open, cracking through its shell. If the seed could feel, it might think it is dying. It might think it is being destroyed. But you and I know the truth. It is not destruction. It is transformation. The cracking is not the end. It is the beginning of the sprout. And so it is with you. Your mind may interpret the chaos as collapse, but your soul knows better. The chaos is creation. The tremors in your inner world are the very proof that your new self is being born. Think of it this way. Discomfort is not a punishment. It is calibration. Just as a tuning fork vibrates violently when it encounters a frequency close to its own, your body and mind are vibrating because you are aligning with a new frequency of reality. The stronger the vibration, the closer the match. So when you feel the intensity, when you feel the instability, when you feel the storm smile inwardly, whisper to yourself, I am tuning, I am aligning, I am expanding. This is not regression, this is resonance. You are not falling apart. You are falling into place. Let me tell you something the ego doesn't want you to hear. Comfort is overrated. Comfort is the lullaby of the familiar. Growth, however, is a dance with the unknown. And the unknown always feels uncomfortable at first because it stretches you into frequencies you've never embodied before. That tightness in your chest? Expansion. That heaviness in your thoughts? Release. That wobble in your identity? Rebirth. It is all evidence. Evidence that you are moving, not stuck. Evidence that the old shell is too small, and your soul is insisting on more room to breathe. Let's reframe it even more powerfully. Discomfort is initiation. It is the toll you pay at the bridge between worlds. It is the universe testing your readiness, not by punishing you, but by asking, will you trust the tremor long enough to cross into the new? And if you can hold steady in the vibration, if you can breathe through the instability, if you can remember that this is the sacred trembling of birth, then you pass through the gate. So let's anchor it in. Discomfort is not a dead end. It is a doorway. It is the resonance of your next self, knocking at the edges of your current one. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine your life as a symphony. Every note you've played so far has brought you here. But now, a new instrument is entering. The harmony shifts. The vibration changes. At first, it feels jarring. But if you listen deeply, you'll notice the music is becoming richer, fuller, more alive. That is what your discomfort island, the introduction of a new instrument, a new frequency, into your life song. So do not resist it. Witness it. Welcome it. Thank it. Because the very thing you've been calling chaos is the proof that you are stepping into a higher resonance of yourself. And sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do in the middle of discomfort is simply whisper, "Thank you. Thank you for showing me that I am alive in transformation." Because that is exactly where you are. You are not broken. You are birthing. You are not unraveling. You are aligning. You are not regressing. You are resonating. And this reframe, this shift in perception, is where you begin to turn the trembling into trust. Now that you've begun to see discomfort not as collapse, but as calibration, let us move together into the softer current beneath it. Because even though this transformation carries power, it is not asking you to fight, to hustle, to fix. It is asking you to listen. Yes, listen. When your thoughts feel like a storm, when your inner world feels like waves colliding, the most radical thing you can do is not to tighten your grip, but to loosen it, to breathe into the chaos instead of pushing against it, to allow the frequency to settle around you like a new skin. So let us practice, right here, right now. Take a slow breath in. Feel the air moving not just into your lungs, but into your entire body, as if every cell is drinking light. Hold it for a moment, and now release, long and steady, like a tide pulling back into the sea. Do this once more. Inhale, pause, and exhale. This is how you attune, not by forcing your mind into silence, but by remembering that breath is your anchor in the middle of the storm. Breath is the most intimate proof that you are already aligned with life. Every inhale, expansion. Every exhale, release. This rhythm has been carrying you since the very beginning, and it will carry you through this threshold too. And then, begin to witness. Witness your thoughts as you might watch clouds pass across a wide, endless sky. Do not cling to them. Do not chase them. Let them float. Let them shift. Allow each thought to arise, and then dissolve back into the infinite. This is how you harmonize, not by erasing your thoughts, but by remembering that you are the sky, not the clouds. The storm is real, but it is temporary, and the sky always remains. And when the storm grows louder because it will simply soften into it, imagine the thoughts, the doubts, the fears as children tugging at your sleeve. You don't need to argue with them. You don't need to punish them. You simply turn, kneel, and acknowledge. I see you. Because acknowledgement itself dissolves resistance. Feel into that now. Breathe, witness, harmonize, allow. Notice the pattern. Each of these is a soft verb. They don't demand. They invite. They don't strain. They surrender. And in this surrender, you find not weakness, but strength. Because soft guidance does not fight the current, it learns to flow with it. And isn't that the essence of the quantum field itself? Pure potential, flowing in every direction, waiting not for force but for resonance. So tonight, if your mind spins, I invite you to sit quietly, place a hand on your heart, breathe slowly, whisper to yourself, I witness my thoughts. I allow their passage. I harmonize with the field. I attune to the frequency I am becoming. Let this be your gentle ritual. No fixing, no forcing, only presence. Because here's the truth. You cannot rush a frequency. You cannot bully vibration into alignment. You can only soften into it, trust it, and allow it to carry you. And as you do this, you'll begin to notice a subtle shift. The noise in your mind doesn't vanish, but it loses its sharpness. The discomfort doesn't disappear, but it transforms into a pulsing aliveness. Suddenly, you're not drowning in the current, you're floating with it. That is the power of soft guidance. It doesn't change the external storm, it changes your relationship to it. And in that shift, everything transforms. So remember, breathe, Attune, harmonize, witness, allow. This is not just practice. This is alignment in motion. This is how you embody the frequency that thoughts collapse into. And slowly, gently, steadily, you discover that you are not the storm at all. You are the stillness at its center. And from that stillness, the next quantum metaphor begins to reveal itself. You've learned how to soften, how to breathe, how to witness the storm without being consumed by it. But let's look even deeper into the quantum mirror, because there is another concept, one that perfectly reflects the stage of transformation you're standing inside. It is called decoherence. In physics, decoherence is what happens when a quantum system, once in delicate superposition, holding multiple possibilities at once, begins to interact with its environment. That fragile state of infinite potential starts to collapse into a single, observable outcome. The wave of possibilities becomes the particle of reality. And this, my friend, is the mirror of your life right now. You have been vibrating in superposition, tasting multiple futures, flickering between identities, sensing both the echoes of the old and the whispers of the new. But as you move through the quantum threshold, decoherence begins. You are interacting with the environment of your own becoming, and those infinite potentials are narrowing into clarity. The field is collapsing not as destruction, but as crystallization. This is why things feel both exhilarating and terrifying at once. You are no longer everywhere, you are beginning to land somewhere. Pause and feel into that. The trembling you've been experiencing, that is the hum of potentials as they start to solidify. It is the moment just before a raindrop falls from the cloud. It wavers, it shakes, and then suddenly it falls into form. And here's the most important part. You are not powerless in this process. Your awareness, your presence, your chosen frequency, that is the environment that decides how the collapse happens. Decoherence is not random. It is relational. Just as a tuning fork vibrates only when another fork of similar frequency is struck nearby, the potentials in your life collapse into the outcomes that resonate most deeply with the frequency you are holding. If you vibrate in fear, you collapse into outcomes that reflect fear. If you vibrate in presence, in alignment, in stillness, you collapse into outcomes that reflect that. This is not punishment. This is law. And when you understand this, suddenly, the discomfort becomes a teacher. It's showing you where your vibration is still entangled with the old. It's reminding you that every storm of thought is an opportunity to reattune. It's not chaos, it's coherence in progress. Think of your life as a prism. Right now, white light is streaming through you. But as it passes, it splits into many colors, your doubts, your visions, your conflicting identities. But as you breathe, as you witness, as you allow, something shifts. The colors begin to converge again. The scattered rays align, and in that alignment, clarity forms. Decoherence, collapse, reality taking shape. And yet, notice the paradox. Collapse is not an ending, it is birth. When decoherence happens, the wave of potential is not destroyed, it is fulfilled. It becomes something tangible, something lived, something real. And so it is with you. You are not losing possibilities, you are crystallizing one. You are not diminishing, you are embodying. You are not collapsing, you are arriving. So the next time you feel the intensity of this transition, I invite you to remember decoherence. Whisper it to yourself. I am not unraveling. I am decohering into alignment. This phrase alone can shift everything, because suddenly, the tension in your chest is not a threat. It is the narrowing of infinite futures into the one your soul has chosen. The instability in your thoughts is not failure, it is the shimmer of collapse into coherence. And when you see it this way, even the discomfort becomes sacred, because you realize every tremor, every flicker, every wobble is evidence that your life is crystallizing into the frequency you've been calling forth. You are not breaking down, you are breaking through, and decoherence is the bridge. So let us anchor this metaphor with an image. Imagine you are holding a tuning fork, vibrating wildly, shaking the air with possibility. And then, slowly, steadily, the sound evens out. The vibration stabilizes. The air grows clear. The trembling is gone not because the energy has vanished, but because it has found its coherence. That is you. That is where you stand right now. That is what your soul is doing. And if you can trust this, if you can lean into it, if you can soften instead of resist, you will find yourself not lost in the storm, but standing in the calm clarity of coherence, watching as your next self takes form. From this lens, what once felt like regression begins to reveal itself as forward motion in disguise. Let us turn to one of the most subtle illusions on the path of awakening, the illusion of regression. You know the feeling. You've tasted clarity. You've touched a higher frequency. You've felt those luminous moments where everything made sense, where synchronicities lined up like pearls on a string, where your very breath felt like it was humming with the universe itself. And then without warning you slip. The clarity fades, the doubts return, old habits reappear, shadows you thought were gone rise again to greet you. The mind says, I'm back where I started. The heart whispers, I've lost it, but let me reframe this for you now. You are not going backward. You are spiraling upward. Think of a spiral staircase. From one angle, it looks as though you're walking in circles, passing the same column over and over. You see the same sights, the same shadows, the same turnings. It feels repetitive, almost regressive. But if you step back, if you rise above, you'll notice something else. Every circle has taken you higher. You are not stuck. You are ascending. This is how growth really happens. Not in a straight line, but in spirals. Each time you revisit the same fear, the same doubt, the same limitation, you are encountering it from a higher vantage point. You are bringing more light to it. You are seeing it with clearer eyes. So what feels like regression is actually refinement. You are not repeating, you are revisiting with more power. You are not slipping, you are spiraling. You are not losing, you are integrating. Pause and let that truth settle into your chest. Even in nature, progress is cyclical. Seasons return, but never in the exact same way. Spring blossoms again and again, but each spring is unique. The same flowers bloom, but on different stems, in different years, under different skies. Life repeats itself in patterns, not copies, and so do you. Every time you face an old shadow, you are not failing. You are reclaiming more of yourself. You are entering the same chamber, but with a brighter torch. You are seeing details you couldn't before. You are clearing more space for your next frequency to anchor. This is why you sometimes feel more discomfort after breakthroughs. Because the higher you rise, the more light you carry into the shadows, and the more clearly you see what was always there. It is not regression, it is revelation. And here is the paradox. The shadows appear darker, not because you are weaker, but because your vision has sharpened. You are perceiving more. You are attuning to subtler layers of your own energy. And this depth of perception is not loss, it is mastery. So when the mind whispers, I've slipped, you can answer with the truth. No, I've reason. When it says, I'm repeating the same cycle, you can answer, yes, but from a higher frequency. When it insists, I'm back at the beginning, you can affirm, I'm standing on the same ground, but at a higher octave. Let's anchor this with an image. Imagine a great spiral staircase rising into the heavens. Each step takes you higher, but as you circle, you glimpse the same stone walls, the same lanterns, the same shadows cast by the flame. If you only look sideways, it seems you're moving in circles. But if you glance down, you'll see how far you've climbed. That is your journey. Not linear, not regressive, spiral, expansive, ascending. And so, when you find yourself facing what feels like an old wound, I invite you to pause and ask, what new wisdom am I bringing to this familiar place? What higher perspective is present now that wasn't before? This is how regression reveals itself as progress. Because here's the secret. Every time you spiral back, you're collecting more fragments of yourself. You're integrating what was once rejected. You're weaving together the broken threads into coherence. And this integration is not delay, it is acceleration. Progress is not always the absence of shadows. Progress is the ability to stand in the shadow and recognize it as an old friend, no longer feared, no longer defining you. So let this be your mantra. I am not going backward. I am spiraling forward. Every return is an ascent. Every shadow is an initiation. Every repetition is refinement. Say it now, quietly, inwardly, as though speaking directly to your soul. I spiral upward, always upward. And in this truth, what once felt like failure begins to reveal itself as the very proof of your evolution. From here, we step into even softer guidance, what to release and what to embrace. As the spiral carries you into alignment, you've now seen that what feels like regression is not regression at all, it's the spiral carrying you upward. But in this delicate space, there's a great temptation, one that pulls at almost everyone who enters the quantum threshold. The temptation to force, When the mind feels unstable, it tries to fix. When the heart feels uncertain, it tries to cling. When the path feels foggy, it tries to run. This is the instinct of survival. To hustle, to push, to demand clarity before clarity is ready to reveal itself. But hear this clearly. Force collapse possibility. Hostile strangle resonance. Fixing is often the same as fighting. And what you are walking through right now is not meant to be wrestled into place. It is meant to be received. So let us talk about what not to do. Do not rush. Do not scramble. Do not measure yourself against an invisible timeline. Because when you push, you signal to the quantum field that you do not trust it. When you hustle, you tell your nervous system that you are unsafe. And when you try to fix what is not broken, you entangle yourself in the very vibration you are trying to transcend. Instead, let us soften into what to do. Stillness, presence, alignment. Stillness is not inactivity, it is potency. It is the silence in which the frequency of your next self can hum into coherence. It is the soil resting in winter, so spring can arrive with power. Presence is not passivity, it is mastery. It is the decision to anchor fully in this breath, this step, this moment, knowing that reality crystallizes not in yesterday or tomorrow, but here, always here. And alignment is not perfection, it is attunement. It is the gentle practice of choosing again and again to orient yourself toward resonance, toward harmony, toward the frequency that feels like truth in your body. So instead of fixing, allow. Instead of hustling, harmonize. Instead of forcing, breathe. Let me guide you through an image. Imagine you are sitting beside a river. The current flows steadily, carrying leaves, carrying branches, carrying reflections of the sky. Now imagine yourself standing in the water, trying to grab each leaf, trying to hold the current in your hands, trying to force it to stop or change. How exhausting that would be. How futile. But now picture yourself stepping out of the struggle, sitting on the riverbank once more. You breathe. You watch. You let the current carry itself. And in this stillness, you notice something. The river doesn't need you to manage it. It already knows where it is going. This is how the quantum field flows through your life. It does not need you to force it. It needs you to trust it. So tonight, when the urge to hustle arises, pause. Place your hand on your heart. Whisper, I release the need to force. I choose stillness. When the urge to fix arises, pause. Breathe deeply. Whisper, I am not broken. I am aligning. And when the urge to scramble for clarity arises, pause. Feel your feet on the ground. Whisper, I am present. And presence is enough. Because here's the paradox. The moment you stop forcing, the frequency begins to flow. The moment you stop hustling, synchronicities appear. The moment you stop fixing, the field begins to organize around you in coherence. Do less. Receive more. The quantum field is not impressed by your effort. It is responsive to your resonance. So let stillness be your teacher. Let presence be your practice. Let alignment be your compass. Because in this soft guidance lies your power, not the power of pushing, but the power of attuning. Not the power of control, but the power of coherence. Not the power of fixing, but the power of becoming. And as you rest into this way of being, something profound begins to happen. The current that once felt like it was drowning you now begins to carry you forward. Not chaotically, but purposefully. Not randomly, but rhythmically. This is the moment you realize. You are not regressing, you are gathering. You are not unraveling, you are being woven. You are not lost. You are being carried toward the leap your soul has been preparing for all along. And that realization leads us into the crescendo, the climax of your unfolding. Breathe with me now, because this is the moment everything converges. You have stood in the threshold. You have felt the trembling of superposition. You have endured the stretch of discomfort, and you have softened into stillness. You have watched the old spiral into view again and again, only to discover it was never regression, it was ascent. And through it all, you have begun to recognize yourself not as the storm, but as the stillness within it. And now, you can feel it, can't you? The gathering, the quickening, the momentum building beneath your feet. This is not unraveling. This is ignition. Imagine a bow being drawn back. At first, it looks like retreat. The string pulls away from the target, further and further back. To the untrained eye, it might seem like regression, but you know the truth. The retreat is the preparation. The tension is the potential. The pullback is what gives the arrow its power. And you, right now, are that arrow. Every doubt you've faced, every moment of discomfort, every shadow that rose up again and again, they were not obstacles. They were the draw of the bowstring, the gathering of energy, the coiling of potential. And now, you are quivering at the edge of release. Feel that, not with your mind, but with your body. The humming under your skin, the anticipation in your chest, the way the world around you feels almost too vivid, as if reality itself is leaning in, waiting for your next breath to decide what comes next. You are not collapsing, you are charging. The storm inside you is not chaos, it is the acceleration of your frequency, winding itself into coherence, preparing for breakthrough. Think of a wave rolling across the ocean. From afar, it seems to build slowly, almost endlessly, pulling water into itself from miles behind. But when it reaches the shore, all that stored momentum explodes into a single crest, rising with power, crashing into form. That wave is you. Every step you've taken, every spiral, every tremor, it has been the gathering of water, the building of momentum. And soon, you will crest. Soon, you will rise. Soon, you will leap into the very frequency that has been waiting for you all along. Because here is the truth your soul has been whispering. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not failing. You are perfectly on time, being carried by a rhythm that is older than time itself. And that rhythm is not slowing, it is accelerating. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel into the timeline of your life. Sense how each choice, each heartbreak, each victory, each shadow has not been random. All of it has been weaving together, pulling threads of experience into a tapestry that is only now revealing its full pattern. Do you feel it? The inevitability of it? The way every detour was secretly a bridge? The way every setback was secretly a setup? Nothing has been wasted. Nothing has been lost. Everything has been momentum. And now, you are standing at the crest of it, ready to ride the wave into the next octave of your being. Say this quietly, inwardly, as if speaking to the very field itself. I am not unraveling. I am gathering. I am not breaking down. I am breaking through. I am not falling. I am rising. Let the words vibrate through you, like an anthem written in the language of your soul. Because they are true. They have always been true. You are not the smaller self your doubts told you you were. You are not the story your past tried to bind you to. You are not the storm of thoughts that collapse and dissolve. You are the frequency that decides. You are the arrow gathering power. You are the wave cresting toward the shore. And the leap, the quantum leap, is not somewhere in the distant horizon. It is here. It is now. It is happening through you, in this very breath. You are not preparing to step into your next self. You are already stepping. Every moment, every breath, every choice. And the momentum is only carrying you higher. This is your ignition. This is your rising. This is your leap. And as you feel it build, as you feel yourself carried by the current of inevitability, know this. You have already crossed the threshold. You have already entered the frequency of becoming. The leap has begun. So here we are, beloved traveler. We began with a simple what if. What if your thoughts weren't cages, but signals? What if your discomfort wasn't collapse, but calibration? What if you were never just the thinker, but the frequency into which thoughts dissolve and reform? And now, after journeying together through thresholds, superpositions, spirals, and stillness, you can feel it. The truth that was always here, waiting beneath the noise. You are not just your thoughts. You are the quantum frequency they collapse into. You are the field. You are the chooser. You are the arrow already in flight. Take a breath. Let that truth land inside your chest. You've already stepped into the new frequency. You may not see it fully yet. You may still feel the tremors of old vibrations unraveling, but the leap has happened. You are already in motion. You are already in resonance with the self you were destined to embody. And every time doubt tries to whisper otherwise, return to this affirmation. I am the frequency. I am the field. I am the coherence of my becoming. Say it often. Whisper it in the quiet moments. Breathe it into your mornings. Let it guide your nights. For it is not just affirmation, it is alignment. It is the truth vibrating through you. reminding you of who you already are. And now, as we bring this journey to a close, I want to leave you with an invitation. Not a demand, not a push, but a gentle opening of the next doorway. If this message has stirred something in you, if you've felt the resonance, the remembering, the deep hum of recognition, then take the next step into this unfolding. Perhaps it is by diving into the next video, where we explore the deeper codes of quantum awakening. Perhaps it is by joining the circle of seekers through our newsletter, where each week I share transmissions designed to anchor you into your highest frequency. Perhaps it is through the guidebook we've created, a companion for those walking the quantum threshold, so you never feel alone in the in-between. Whatever form it takes, let it be a continuation, not an ending. Because your journey is not closing here, it is opening wider. Remember this: you are not unraveling, you are gathering, you are not falling apart, you are aligning. You are not just the observer, you are the frequency into which reality itself is collapsing here, now, always. And with that, I leave you with a final breath. Inhale. Exhale. Feel yourself standing taller, softer, clearer. You have already stepped into the new frequency. Welcome home.